we we'd better behave then.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
I'm recording, huh?
All right. Okay, so the NALCAP program. So welcome everybody. The NALCAP program is one of them. We have different programs from the ministry. We promote different programs here. All of them are about promoting and well, yes, promoting the Spanish and the Hispanic cultures, not only Spanish, but also from Latin American countries as well. And NALCAP, the NALCAP program consists on sending North American young graduates to Spain to act as assistant teachers. Okay, so that's basically the idea. And to give you an idea of how important this program is, this year, when they arrive in Spain, they start acting, assisting teachers in schools from it's the 1st of October until the end of May or the end of June, depending on the region. But last October the 1st, a total of 4,000, I can give you the exact figure, all right? 46,000 400 NALCAPers have participated in the program since 2008. So almost 50,000 American young men and women have lived this experience. Yes, and this year we have sent to Spain 4,571. Okay, so in only 1 year, 4,571 young people are already enjoying life in Spain. Okay, so before I explain the different details, right, I would like to show you a short video that is a promotional video of this program. Okay.
Fancy living in Spain? Join the Language and Culture Assistance Program of the Education Office of the Spanish Embassy. It offers a fantastic opportunity to spend a school year in Spain as an assistant teacher, sharing your language and knowledge with Spanish students K through 12 and adults.
Con ella aprender inglés es estupendo. Chloe es la mejor.
I got medical insurance and a monthly allowance to help pay for accommodation and expenses, and I really think that this experience will help with my career in the future.
Spain also offers you amazing travel and cultural possibilities.
I couldn't have imagined this was going to be such a life-changing experience.
And what about the food?
And the lively streets.
And the wonderful people.
Yo he mejorado mucho mi español.
Don't miss this opportunity. Learn more about the Language and Culture Assistance Program of the Education Office of the Embassy of Spain.
And grow as you share.
So let's have a look at the most, let's say, basic details of the program. So it's an educational outreach initiative of the Ministry of Education of Spain, offering American college students and graduates the opportunity to be teaching assistants in Spain in classrooms across the country. So it's not considered to be a job. The question is that you will be NALCAPers, as we call them, will be assistant teachers. They will not be responsible for discipline. They will not be responsible for managing the classroom. They will not be responsible for this discipline or administering exams, marking exam evaluation, you name it. No, they will be doing what the Spanish teachers of English tell them to do in terms of, well, talking to the kids, explaining things about the culture. For example, imagine now Thanksgiving is around the corner. The teachers most likely will say, well, give a presentation about Thanksgiving. Why explain to the students why Thanksgiving is so important in America and how you celebrate it, how how do you finally celebrate it, etc., etc. So, and that is the main asset. What we're looking for in Spain is young people full of energy, creativity, whose language is perfect because they're native speakers and who can share their culture with the students, with Spanish kids. And then the good thing about this is that it's a win-win situation, because when these assistant teachers, North American assistant teachers, return to the United States, they will have a very clear view of what Spain is like. So sometimes we have stereotypes about countries, and then discovering what the country is really is very important. It's also important in terms of, well, not only for students or graduates who have the intention of becoming teachers in the future, but also other types of students. All types of students benefit from this, because having this on your CV, it shines, because it shows that you are interested in experiencing an international experience, having an international experience. Okay, so that is the thing. Kids in Spain benefit from you, and you benefit from the experience. And I'll tell you what, I said almost 5,000 assistant teachers went to Spain, and Spanish schools want more. We hire assistant teachers from Britain, for example. And obviously you can't compare because the United States is such a big country. But think schools in general, we ask them, and they like American young men and women, young people, because of their, they're extroverted, they are communicative, they're fun to be with. So yeah, it's true. And then schools, primary schools, elementary schools, middle school, high schools, or even schools for adults. Those are the different placement where you can have a post, where you have a place. Now they tell us, okay, they are hungry for more and more. So there is no limit. All right. So
Wow.
Let's have a look. Yeah, they're hungry for it, because Spain, the teaching of English is a priority in Spain, in the education system in Spain. And we need native speakers. We need kids to be in contact with people who can provide firsthand. Well, they are the example to follow. And then you will be the souls of the party. You will be sharing department meetings with other teachers of English, etc. You will be asked all the time, hey, how do you say this? How do you say that? How do you pronounce this? How do you pronounce that? So that is your big asset, your language and the knowledge you have of your country's culture. So you don't need to be an expert on a specific subject. Obviously, if you did a major in science, for example, and then you get to school and the chemistry teacher is teaching something in English, you might help by explaining that in English as well. Okay, so there are different activities that you can develop over there, but the basic ones are to do with the American culture and the way of living here, etc., etc. So it's a very creative job. Let's see different, say more details. This is what I mentioned. Participants in the program assist lead teachers in the teaching of the English language and the culture of the United States, while they are immersed in the language and culture of Spain. All right. So it's a cultural link between citizens of these countries. And there you are. In most schools, you will be the teacher's assistant and the guidance and supervision of lead teachers in the English and World Foreign Language program at that schools. In other schools, you may be involved in being a teacher assistant in other school subjects taught in English, such as social studies, science, technology, art, physical education, if the school is part of a bilingual program. We have the experience of, because we are in contact with some of the NALCAPers who are already there, and they send us videos for the socials and they tell us about their experience. And they have a lot of fun, for example, sharing a physical education class over there. And they can teach students about, American football, which has nothing to do with European football. So there's so many things that are different, and kids over there enjoy them to the fullest. All right. Now, the types of placements: elementary schools, secondary schools, and language schools. Secondary schools is middle schools, high schools, yes. And then language schools are the schools for adults I mentioned earlier. These are schools where attendants, or well, the students are professionals, people who are adults and who have a professional career or whatever, or simply are interested in learning a language. Most of the classes are in the evening, and the good thing about these placements is that you have the audience are adults, so the conversations that you can have in that context are very, very interesting. So, and they are super involved and super, they are motivated to study the language. But any placement will be perfect, because every placement has its own, let's say, good points, as it were. And the important thing is to be living in the country. Yes. So now these are the program requirements. This is important. You have to be a US citizen and have a valid US passport for at least 3 months after the end of the program. Okay. Now let me stop here for a second. The application period begins, most likely will begin, let's see, late in January, early in February next year. And you say, well, you are announcing this well in advance. And yeah, it's for a reason. If, for example, you're already planning to take part in the program and you do not have a valid passport, you had better renew it now, because it takes a long time to have your passport renewed. So this is one of the reasons. So there are so many. So I mean, there is some paperwork you have to go through, and then you can anticipate some of that. Okay, and then when the opening of the application period begins, you have already done some of these, boring and cumbersome paperwork that you need to do. You have, these are the qualifications, right, that you need, okay? But simply being a sophomore or higher, okay, is enough. You have a native level of English, of course. You are, of course, in good physical and mental health condition, have a clean background check, and the age between 18 and 60. We do have some senior NALCAPers over there enjoying the experience as well. Okay. Now, as far as this one, the last one, you should have a basic level of Spanish for your personal use to navigate the first days there. If you have to look for accommodation, and you have to open a bank account over there, you have to find, or you have to contract a telephone line, whatever. You should at least be familiar with Spanish, but this is not a big problem, because you will be assigned, or you will have a mentor when you arrive there. Somebody will help you navigate those difficult days at the beginning. All right, but obviously, yes, well, having basic knowledge of Spanish will be required. And here it is, the program conditions. Notice this: schedule between 14 and 16 class periods a week. Okay, and then you are giving a 3-day weekend. So you will be you'll be expected to help in class for only 14 to 16 hours, which means that, okay, you've got plenty of free time, etc., etc. And the other good thing is that you will have either Fridays off or Mondays off. And the reason for this is that we want, from the ministry, we want you to travel, to get to know places, to meet new people, to immerse in the culture of the country. I don't know, maybe you have one of these long weekends, and then you escape to Portugal, or you travel to France, down to Morocco. So there are so many opportunities to make the most of this year in Spain. Okay. Now, you will receive a stipend of about 800 and 1,000 euros. Now, roughly, euro, dollar is more or less the same thing. You say, well, it's a very modest amount. Yes, it is. We understand it is. But it helps, okay? And you have to bear in mind that the standard of living in Spain is lower than it is in Seattle, for example. All right? So It won't be
Do you mean the cost of
The
living?
cost of living, yeah.
cost of living.
Cost
What did
of
I
living.
say? The standard of living?
Standard of living.
Yeah.
The cost of living, sorry. The
Yeah,
cost of
food,
living is
food, for
lower.
example, is cheaper in Spain than is here.
Yes, life is cheaper. Yes. But the standard of living is quite good. And I'm sorry. So it's probably not enough, especially if you have a placement in a big city, not like Spain, sorry, Madrid, Barcelona, Seville, etc. Okay, obviously it's not enough, but it helps. And if you think of a gap year, all right, you do not get paid if you have a gap year, and now you have, and also depending on the region of Spain, and medical insurance is covered. So we are responsible for your medical insurance. Okay, you do not have to worry about that. The only thing you have to do by yourself is finding accommodation. But many times you can find and share a flat with Spanish students, maybe other assistants, which is not my recommendation, because if you share a flat with somebody who speaks English, you will be speaking English all the time at home. All right. And the idea is that your Spanish should improve, you know. An orientation course at the beginning of the school year, and then when you finish, an official certificate upon completion of the program. That is something also I think is very valuable in terms of, I don't know, applying for a job in the future. You say, well, I was abroad, I have international experience. That is a good point. Okay. And again, not only for those of you who are contemplating becoming teachers of Spanish or teachers of languages. Okay. Now, you have paid vacations, exactly the same as, more or less, yeah, exactly the same as all the teachers. Their working conditions will be very similar. And if you like it, you can renew for a second year, okay, up to a maximum of 5 years. And to tell you the truth, quite a few assistants, never return, okay? So they like it so much over there, they decide to stay, find a job. Well, obviously you have to consider the different legal procedures, but again, quite a few do not return. And this is the thing, you must find housing on your own, okay? And when the application period begins, when you make the application, you can select 3 preferred regional destinations in Spain. Let me explain this. In Spain, there are 17 different regions, roughly speaking, similar to states here. So they are autonomous. We call them autonomous communities. And then each community, each region is responsible for their own schools, their own the education system, etc., etc. So depending on the region you are posted, okay, you will have a stipend, a higher or lower stipend, etc., etc. Basically the same, but there are, you know, some slight differences. And the question is, when you apply, you can select three preferred regional destinations. You prefer the north, the south, the east, the west. You prefer mainland Spain, you prefer a big city, you prefer a smaller place, etc. You have the option to do that. And also, if you would like to take part in the program with a friend, and you would like to be placed at least not far from each other, well, it's easy. When you apply and your friend is next to you, and then you apply, and immediately after you, your friend also applies, and then you have the option saying, hey, I want to go with this person, and then this person applies, I want to go with that person, so that we have a clear idea who you are, why you want to be, not why you want to be together, but the fact that you want to be together, and we'll make every effort to send you at least to the same area, okay? So that it's also good to know. I think for language learning, it's not a good idea to go with somebody because again, you will be speaking English all the time. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's possible. Yes. Why not?
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you able to, so you can choose your top 3 destinations that you would be interested in going to? Can you say, I would prefer to work with smaller children, or I would prefer to work with
Yeah,
adults?
it's also possible. Yes. Okay. Right. So here you are, the different regions. So the question is that this choice is not so specific, or that you can select the city or the town or the village you want to go to. No, it's a general. So you choose that region. For example, you can choose the Comunidad Valenciana or Murcia or the South, etc. So my recommendation is that you do some research. All right, find out about what the weather or the different, let's say, highlights of the area you would like to visit, etc. And then it's a good option to go to, or to try and choose places where there are cities with universities, for example, and you have the opportunity of meeting young people like you. Other people prefer small villages, etc., etc. So it's up to you. And then you choose 3 preferred regions. Okay. Now, for most of them, the period begins. I mean, the program begins on the 1st of October, as I mentioned earlier, and it finishes at the end of May. But because of these, slight differences I mentioned about different regions, in Madrid, the program extends to the end of June. So it's an additional month. All right. So that's something to bear in mind. But you have to consider the cost of living and housing. The price of housing in Madrid or Barcelona is really high. Okay, like everybody else. I mean, everywhere else in countries where the most important cities, obviously the cost of living is higher. Okay, let me show you this. There's nothing else quite like Spain. This is just it's a video with images of cities and landscapes, etc., etc. And I think it's a good. It's only 2 minutes, yes, but personally, I like it. All right. So there are different. Okay. So if you are interested in applying, visit our website for complete info. Just search for NALCAP Spain. If you just Google NALCAP, which is the acronym for North American Language and Culture Assistant Program. Okay, so you just Google NALCAP and you have all the information there. There's also obviously a section, contact us, and I will help you. We will help you fill in the form, get familiar with the platform you have to use to apply for the program, etc., etc. Okay, so this is just about it, and I think I might as well just stop sharing the screen so I can answer your questions. Yes.
Eder, Gerardo, you guys have any question?
Yeah, I'm curious, if 800 to 1,000 euros is maybe insufficient for certain places, cities being more expensive, etc. How much would you suggest that students need to bring with them for living expenses or travel expenses or whatever?
Yeah, the thing is, it's sometimes, sometimes when they arrive there, because of the paperwork involved, etc. So the first stipends get to their bank accounts. They have to open a bank account. They have to do all the paperwork, etc. They have their stipend a little bit later than they would like to. Okay, and there are obviously expenses. So if you find accommodation, you have to pay for a deposit. You have to, which is sometimes double the rent, etc. So having a good cushion is recommendable. Okay, but I wouldn't say honestly. I can say how much, right? But I don't know, something in the region of 3,000 euros, for example. Around that figure would be commendable. But I am just the idea is when you do your research. And then one thing is important. It's important not to rent anything until you are there, right? Because sometimes you have the temptation of doing things fast and renting something online, and then when you get there, you get a surprise because it's not what you expected. Yeah. So I don't think it's a good idea to do that. I mean, I would travel there, walk around the place, do my research, shop around, and then make a decision. And that takes time, yes. So having at least that, or at least having the possibility of asking or calling home from some funding that can reach you quickly, yes. That is, but I would say a good cushion is recommendable, yes.
One thing that in my experience with the students from Eastern that went there, it is once you have a mentor, my students reach out to their mentor. And for example, one of the students was in Extremadura. It's a small region in a small town. So her mentor was able to find a place for her, to a neighbor that was like, hey, my neighbor would like to rent you a room, and that way you can live with her, and that sometimes work, but that because
it's a small place.
It's a small place.
It's not going to be the case everywhere.
It's not going to be, but it's good to ask at the school when you get there. People are like, hey, I need a place to live, and I have a temporary housing, but I would like to have more permanent. They are the ones that can really help you.
Help you out,
Yes,
they know.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that small towns also are quite recommendable. And then Spain is not such a big country, and then public transport is very good quality. So there are high-speed trains, bus lines, etc., etc. So you can live very well in Spain without driving. So having access to areas or cities that are interested from the point of view of culture, entertainment, etc., but not living in. For example, I lived in Madrid, but I work like 5 miles away from Madrid. Okay, in a small town. Yes, and every day I drove to work, but I could go to work. I could commute by train as well. Yes, and it could be the opposite. I could very well live in this place, Alcorcón, and live and then go to Madrid for,
Mm.
you know, to go to the theater, to go to the
Yeah.
cinema, or to go for dinner. I was going to say something. I don't know, just escaped me.
Are there opportunities for students to take on other work? If they're only teaching or assisting for, what was it, 14 to 16 hours?
I think,
If
well, the question is that the visa, they are traveling to Spain on a cultural visa. So working as such is not possible. It's not possible.
Okay.
All right. So if they have tuition classes or something, that might be the case. But you can't have a job with a contract or anything. It's not possible. It's not possible. Okay.
My daughter has French nationality, so if she was to participate in that, would that be the case for her also?
The question is that because she has got double nationality. She's a US citizen and a French citizen. So she is a European citizen. Yes. Okay. That's a good question, because on the one hand, she belongs to the European Union, but on the other hand, she is traveling. She's doing the program as an American citizen. So, and the type of visa she is granted from the Spanish consulate, for example, in San Francisco, is a cultural visa. All right, but the question is that there's an email address, right, on the web page that you can use to ask us these questions, and we'll answer them. Yes, the question is that the thing is, even though your daughter is a EU citizen as well, she's doing the program as an American citizen.
Yeah. Okay.
Gerardo, do you have any questions for Luis?
¿Está bien si le pregunto en español o prefieren inglés?
Prefiero en inglés para que Heather también.
Okay, so...
Any other student?
Trato de...
No se preocupe. So, I've been to Spain before with Natalia, to Castilla y León, and I really liked the area. And you said that I can choose certain places that I want to visit, like Castilla y León, Madrid, or other places, right? But they're not guaranteed, and kind of like how Heather mentioned, the cost of living might differ from other places in different places. So let's say that I applied and I got to Castilla and León like how I wanted to. So, and I have a mentor and all that. So my mentor would help me with the housing and everything, kind of like how you mentioned, right?
It's not guaranteed that it's going to. You can ask questions to the mentor and the school to see, but it's not guaranteed that there is not an obligation to help you. That's my understanding. That's what it say. But it's always a first good contact information to ask. Hey, I need a housing. Where do you recommend that I start looking?
Okay, because for me, I don't have any family in Spain, and even though I've been there before, I want to look into the housing market to see where I can rent and stuff, but I don't know where to look at.
Well, that's kind of the question that you might want to ask your school when you get there, because that is very. But as Luis mentioned, one thing that is very different for renting when you are here online, because there is also something that you have more options once you get there, and you see, because a lot of the housing is not online. That's the reality, especially if you go to small places, a small town, they are not going to be. So yeah, you could stay in a place for a while during the first days, but as a school to guide you how to get housing.
Okay, so the school, I keep in touch with the school to get that information, right?
When you get there, yeah,
They will help you. I think, and there are schools that have assistant teachers every year, so they are accustomed to welcoming them and helping them. Yes, so it doesn't mean that they will give you all the information, that they are very, you know, familiar with what the housing market is like in the area or something, but they might have a friend of a friend who happens to be renting a flat, etc., etc. So and they will at least assist you in finding out what the alternatives are in terms of accommodation, yes, and housing, yes. And it is one thing, in the end, well, it's late in January, I think, the date it has to be determined. There's going to be a webinar, okay? So we are holding a webinar. So it's a massive webinar. And then all these questions can be answered in this webinar. And then potential or people who are interested in applying can join us. And then we'll have even assistant teachers who are already doing this, explaining what they did, what they experienced. I mean, they have the experience of having done it, and they provide very valuable information. So this will be there are 2 webinars. There's one in January, the end of January, and there is one in July, the end of July. And the second one, that second one is especially for those of you who have already been given a placement and you are getting ready to travel to Spain. Okay. So, but this first webinar it's just before the opening, just before the application cycle begins. All right. The application period begins.
What is internet connection like? Because I know I lived in France for 16 years, and one of my daughters was living in the south of France, in Nice, for a while, and the access to internet was not the same in Nice as what I experienced in Paris. So if you're in a small village, are you sure to be able to connect to internet? Or are all the schools connected to internet?
Yes, I assume so, yes. The question is that there might be a very remote village in the middle of the mountains that might experience some difficulty.
But look, I'm from Extremadura. It's not the most populated, and I live in a 800 people village, and we have internet.
Yes.
Okay.
Having good internet to call online, to call via WhatsApp to the US.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it would be that would be
Yeah.
a problem. It won't be a problem. Okay.
I actually have 2 other questions, because I know that when students were looking at studying in France, having any sort of handicap, any sort of physical mobility issue, when I was bringing students and their families to Paris, for example, or on a tour of France, it wasn't necessarily very user-friendly for somebody that was in a wheelchair, for example, or who had some sort of a mobility problem getting around. Is that an issue in general in Spain as well?
I think
or with the public transportation, it's
Public
not a problem?
You have to have access.
Right. The question is that the underground system in Madrid, for example, is huge. All right. I think most stations are adapted to this, and they have elevators, but unfortunately there are some which are still were built in the past, and those are not so accessible. Yes, but in general, I believe they are. All right, and buses can lower, and it's possible to have access with wheelchairs, and schools are also adapted. Yes. So I think it's not a big deal. Yes.
It's depend on where you go. Again, if you go to a very remote village, you might not have. But I know because a friend of mine was involved in renovating. The new laws say that if you are open and you're receiving funding for the European Union, your building has to be adapted.
Yeah.
So,
schools are. Yes.
The schools are.
Yeah. And my other question is, in the States, it's very popular for people to have a service animal or a emotional support animal. Is that eliminatory for candidates? Is it possible for them to bring an a support animal or?
I don't see the
know.
reason why not. I can't see the reason why not.
The only thing that you have to reach, because I know that friends that move to Europe, you have to reach and you get the pet passport for the pet.
Oh, the pet passport, yeah.
Because they need a passport too.
Yeah.
Because they need to have the certification, all the vaccination, everything. Huh? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and I remember when I was a teacher, one of the teachers was a guide dog trainer. And he came to school with a dog and he taught with the dog, and the dog was there at department meetings, listen carefully and listen attentively. Listening attentively, yes. So it's not an issue. It's not an issue. It shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. It said that it was if you were a sophomore. So if a student is does they have to be this year they need to be a sophomore, or if they are a freshman this year, but they apply in January, and so during the school year, the following school year, they would be a sophomore. Are they able to still apply?
My understanding is that they have to be a sophomore at the time of applying.
At the time of the applying, okay.
They have to be a sophomore at the time of applying. Yes. But again, this is the email where you can sort of have all these yes. But yeah, it is.
Any other questions, Gerardo? Heather?
Any other questions? I think there are, let's see, again, let me check the PowerPoint again, just in case.
Come to stop the recording. Oh, well.
Okay. So, we have this videos, etc. Regions of Spain. Yeah, we saw this medical insurance. Okay, so it's important to remember this, the program conditions.
Yeah.
14,
and the medical and the medical insurance covers when you get there. The medical insurance covers you when you get there or before you leave.
The medical insurance, it covers you. The thing is that when you travel, when you arrive in Spain, you are already covered. Okay, but this is something, because the beginning of the program is the 1st of October. So if you arrive before, okay, you should contract a private insurance. But this is something I am not sure about. Yes, I'm not sure of. So this is something you better contact us through the email I mentioned. It is. If you find it in the, we can visit the webpage. Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll make you. You'll get familiar with the different sections. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is that you will receive a monthly stipend of about $100,000. We mentioned this, depending on the region that you're assigned. You may supplement this grant with private classes. So not a job, let's say, with a contract and everything. Length of the program, 8 months, or June the 13th, or the 30th, if you're in Madrid. Medical insurance, not medicines. And then you have the orientation at the beginning of the school year. Yes.
But it does say you may supplement this grant with private classes. So does that mean
but
like
it's
your
not
students...
a contract. It doesn't mean that you don't have a contract, huh?
No. Yeah.
You can teach English for a student that want to do.
Gotcha.
So it's like a modest thing, but you cannot, for example, begin to teach in a private school while you are doing the program or anything. No, that is impossible. It's impossible. So it's absolutely illegal.
Oh yeah.
All right. Paid school vacation, option to renew. You must find housing on your own. Applicants will have to select 3 preferred regional destinations in Spain. And it's a good idea to do your research. And placements, unfortunately, are not guaranteed. Let's have a look at the, if you like, we can have a look at the all right, let's have a look at the oh, sorry. All right, there you are. All right, here you are. And here you are, the section applying to NALCAP. So if you just Google NALCAP, you will get here, NALCAP Spain.
We cannot see your.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. So.
No.
Okay. All right, you see that? Yes. All right, so this is what you do. NALCAP, you just Google NALCAP, you get here, and then on the left-hand side, you've got all the different sections. Okay. Then apply into NALCAP. And then you've got general information, application guidelines, recommendation, letter guidelines, frequently asked questions. It's a good idea to go through this before, well, applying. My recommendation is to do this first. Yes.
Yeah. See what questions come up.
Oh, exactly. And documents to be submitted. The NALCAP timeline. That's also interesting. How to register on Profix2. Profix2 is a platform you'll be using to apply for the program. Okay. And then you've got a handbook here with the instructions to do it. Okay. And then how to accept or decline a placement. That's it. But if you access the false, the frequently asked questions. Okay, this is for last year cycle, but they are the same, yeah. And here you have a menu.
Oh, there's the question right there on page 4. I'm a freshman, can I apply?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can look at that, yeah.
Okay. I was looking for the question you asked about the medical insurance. There you are. How can I get medical certificate? Do I need to see medical certificate? Well, anyway.
And maybe it's more to have Spanish insurance when you're on site, just because it's easier to get treatment and not having to pay and then submit it to your medical insurance back in the States.
Well, it's something. Okay. So there you are. So the question about the sophomore.
Yeah, I'm a freshman there.
So you need to be at least in your sophomore year of college at the time of the application. All right. So this is information, and all the information, or at least most of the information that you need is here. Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Now, if you would like to ask any other questions.
Thank you, Luis. We really appreciate you sharing this information with us, and we'll share I'll share the recording with you, Heather, as soon as I download, so you can use it. But also, if you have any students and they need a first talk, I can help them, or at least guide them through some of the websites. Like, look, start doing your research here.
Yeah, right.
And that way they feel like they have someone, and then they can also attend the webinar in January.
Yeah, yeah. And there's currently an EWU student doing this program. Am I correct?
Yeah, Hanaka.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So there are students from the university doing it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
We have had several students every year, at least that as far as I know, at least we had like 10 students that have attended, that participate in the program. Some of them are still in the region.
All right. I stayed over there. Okay. But it's a
And
bit
two
busy.
of them stayed over there, too.
All right. Decided to stay there.
Well, it's what happened when you fall in love with the Spaniards, so you end up heading there.
All right. Yes. Okay. Fine. So I was looking for. You can follow us on the socials, Instagram, Facebook. NALCAP is our trademark, as it were.
Yeah.
So and that is another way of, getting in touch with us. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, again, in the webpage, there is an email, yes, where you can send us your questions, and we make every effort to answer all of them.
Thank you, Luis. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'll follow up with the email, to you.
Exactly, and then when I know for sure when the webinar will take place, I'll contact you and let you know.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
Okay.
See you.
Fine.
Bye-bye.
Gracias.
Thank